You're listening to Supervision with a Vision, where we discuss all things supervision. I'm your host, Sarah, professional counselor, marriage and family therapist, play therapist, eating disorder specialist, and cookie lover, with my co-host, Heather, marriage and family therapist, certified Together in Texas counselor, a Texas transplant from California, and outdoor adventurer. Hi, welcome today to Supervision with a Vision. Heather and I are talking about self-care in supervision. This week we read 4 Steps to Refresh, Recharge, and Reconnect, published in Counseling Today 2022. Heather, there were 4 steps in our article that we read this week. First, complete a self-care assessment.
So I had, as a teenager growing up, a little bit of an obsession with the quizzes in the back of magazines.
Sure, yeah, that was fun.
What kind of friend are you? Or all those things. Mm-hmm. So morph that to a more professional thing. Over COVID, I did one of those 1-hour lunchtime CEUs online because I had to still get CEUs in. And I did a self-care assessment during it.
Yeah.
And I was a little shocked.
Oh.
It was a little scary.
Does this mean you were doing the 1-hour CEU and cheating and doing a different activity? Maybe, or it was it was actually part of the...
Oh, no. It was part of, it was for healthcare workers, and it was for how stressed out are you and how is it impacting your life? And so, but what I will admit to is I was half paying attention to it.
Yeah.
And I would fill out the question as we went, but I wasn't zoned in enough to pay attention to how I was just answering truthfully. I wasn't trying to skew my answers or make it look clean or better or whatever. No one was ever going to see it.
Right.
So it didn't matter. So, and again, do I think that's that assessment was this is the perfect one? No, I think there's I mean, even the wording self-care assessment, that could mean 100 different things.
Yeah. Okay. So there might be an actual form. You and I don't know of one that's official, reliable, validated. We don't know about that. But you've done one, and certainly you could maybe kind of anecdotally come up with your own.
Mm-hmm.
I have one that it's a self-assessment to determine your style of play.
Oh, that's fun.
So the point is that as adults or whatever age, there's different styles of play. So creative play, constructive play.
Yeah.
So it helps you identify what type of play you enjoy the most, with the idea that you would then incorporate that into self-care. So, what are some ways that you might do that with a supervisee or ask them to do it on their own?
Right. I think knowing and being able to do self-care assessments, for one, you can use them with your clients. So you can talk about those with your supervisees, but letting them actually participate and do one, you could use it in session just to say, oh, look, I did this one. It came up with this result. What does yours look like? Some of those self-care assessments are 10 questions. Some of them can be 40 questions. I mean...
Well, so it's very, it's a meta process.
Right.
So you're saying you could introduce it in supervision because you're introducing a tool that they could use with their clients.
Right.
But then you might also introduce it by you completing it, them completing it, and sharing it. So you're also normalizing
this
that everybody needs to do this.
Right.
And I do it sometimes. You should do it. Okay. I wonder how we could spot a self-care assessment that was really crummy. Because we're saying there's not one that we know of that's reliable or valid or validated. But what would be assigned to you of an assessment that was really kind of a joke, pretty crummy?
I think maybe if it just, I can't form words. That's not applicable, that's the word, to specifically counselors, right? Because self-care for my husband at his job looks very different than self-care for me at my job.
Mm.
If you're just work-based.
If you're using one for a client, you'd want one that was pretty general.
Yeah, you'd want to make it.
Is there a reason why you would use one that wasn't general for a supervisee or for yourself?
I think there are some differences, and I might also apply this stretch it to helping professions, right? We tend to view self-care a little differently. Good and bad.
Yeah. Well, so you're thinking your magazine quiz that at the end it tells you, so this is the type of friend you are, so this is what it
Mm-hmm.
means. What if it just gives you, I guess I was imagining a self-care assessment that tells you you're like doing great,
Right.
or you're like,
Could work here.
could do some
Right.
more. That might not then tell you what to do or what kind of care, but
Right.
just tell you, sounds like you're lacking. You need a
Well,
little
and
more.
maybe similar to your play therapy assessment, like where it's giving the different categories, maybe there's also those for self-care.
Yeah.
Like, oh, you
Well, I
prefer,
mean, that's what I thought. Then
yeah.
when you identify what type of play works for you, then you're identifying what type of self-care would really work for you.
Mm-hmm. I like that idea.
The next step is create a self-care plan. First, what's on your self-care plan?
So when I did this little experiment a couple years back, I mean, I already knew there are things about me that I knew. Like I love to be outside.
Uh-huh.
When I did this self-care assessment, I had no idea that I liked alone time. I know that sounds really strange, but I really didn't realize that that was something that was lacking.
Yeah, maybe
And
that it was such a big piece of your pie.
right, it just
Yeah.
didn't comprehend very quickly. So I think when it comes to creating your own self-care plan, it's then taking what you need to do to take care of yourself and putting an actionable item. Is it that you need more alone time? Is it that you need more time for your notes if you're just talking
Uh-huh.
about work? Is it that you need outdoor time? Is it that you need play, like actual go and
Oh.
play some recreation?
Well, so that sounds to me like the assessment is just evaluating to what degree are you doing this? And maybe the plan is get more specific
right,
and identify things that you're actually going to do or how you're going to make it
right.
happen. I actually coincidentally, before we started talking about this article, came across two ideas that I think I'm going to try.
Okay.
Right now, I think it started yesterday. Apple made an app called Balance
Ooh,
available for free for 1 year.
that's kind of cool.
And it's a first come, first serve. So I don't
Okay.
know how many more of those are
Right.
maybe available, but I think it came through to me on, I don't know,
Something. Yeah.
and I clicked on it, and it's kind of interesting. And so it's both a plan and a commitment to the plan. It kind of walks you through. So you do a little something every day. And I was talking to a parent today of a client, and she said that she was trying to find ways of doing self-care for herself, but also for her kid. And she came across one of those subscription boxes.
Oh, yeah.
And you tailor it to you. So you
That's
ask
fun.
a bunch of questions.
Right.
You fill out all the questions, and then it picks things. And I think you get 4 or 5 things each month related to self-care.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah,
Okay.
so she said she ordered it for her and her daughter, and they got it today. They hadn't opened it yet, but she said that in hers, she thought there were going to be things like bubble bath or face mask, something to read or music, and so she thought in these different categories she would get a couple new things every month, which I thought I
That's
like.
kind of different.
You know, I imagine that could be helpful if you are searching for something to add to your self-care plan, but you're not quite sure what it is.
Right. I'm not sure how to stop or pause.
So if you maybe it is now available to you, whatever tools are on this app called Balance, that maybe you think, oh, well, the binaural beats that are on there really worked for me. I'm going to figure out how to do more of that. Or, oh, this one meditation was useful, so I'm going to try and do more of that. That might help you to explore a little bit.
Right. Might be true.
So if those are ways that we incorporate self-care for ourselves, how do we encourage, or what would we be supporting our supervisees in doing and putting on their self-care plan?
You know, sometimes in supervision, you hear things from your supervisees like how long they're spending on the weekend doing notes when they're supposed to be off, right? Or how long they're spending like getting ready for an activity in session. Those like,
yes,
oh, I'm going to do this. I'm going to do this. I have to go, you know.
Where I had a supervisee, she probably leads like 2 or 3 groups a day, and she plans 24 hours in advance.
Wow.
For all these, and I went, nope, that's so much planning that
yeah.
And if you plan that far ahead of time, how often are your groups totally different? The clients are,
you don't know what they're going to come in with.
Or maybe some of those clients aren't even there anymore.
Right.
And then you've spent all that time
prepping and planning for things that can't happen. So I think that part of that for supervision and supervisees is like reminding them to like be flexible. And then also when you find yourself in a pattern, I just recently had a supervisee talk to me about it. And she was like, I'm spending all day Sunday doing notes. And I was like, well, you're doing notes during the week? Like,
Yeah.
how are you spending all day Sunday?
Right.
And she was like, no, I'm doing notes during the week, but these are like the other notes that I have to coordinate with these other outside people. And I was like, whoa, is this just like a work thing? This isn't really your psychotherapy notes. These are like,
Yeah.
And she's like, yeah, it's for the clinic she works at. She has to have these other kind of like mini dialogue conversations. And I'm like, that's not for Sunday. That's not like, let's not dive in. I don't know when that needs to happen, but we need to alter your flow during the week to make it fit in. So it's kind of catching what you see them bring in with some unhealthy habits.
So you're saying not that the plan, you're envisioning a plan that's not just a list of things that to do that would be self-care, but you're thinking about, like coordinating or balancing or planning ahead for how to manage what? So, I mean, I think you're talking about managing workflow.
Okay, that could be.
Or maybe managing time.
Maybe. I think all those things can benefit your self-care. So I think that could be part of it. I think you could also use it in a way to say, like maybe once a month during your supervision, you're like, no, but how are you really handling all this? Like, you've had these 3 new clients come in and they seem pretty high intensity. Like, not that we're going to shift to therapy completely, but like, are you doing okay with it? Are they keeping you up at night? So I think that can look like a plan, an actionable step.
Well, so what, I mean, I'm trying to picture how you would incorporate or make sure you include all of those things in a self-care plan. What would your self-care plan look like? Like, is it on paper?
I probably would put it on paper for the moment. I don't know that I'd ever refer back to it.
Is it a schedule?
Maybe. Or maybe it's also almost in the flow of things, like knowing your body or how you're responding. When I'm stressed out, my shoulders get tight.
So how is that a plan?
Right. It's more about the skills. It's not really necessarily a plan. It's about knowing, hey, when I feel this way, I need to stop and read a book instead of write notes. It's not necessarily a concrete scheduled event always.
Okay. Because then I'm thinking so our next bullet point in our article is how do you commit to the plan? But if you're saying, I don't know, I'm picturing communicating this or getting, like, coordinating, I'm not really sure. A plan like that, how do you get it out there? How do you know that it's a plan?
I guess there need to be some accountability for.
Well, so I'm thinking, okay, if I'm going to, let's maybe even say, if we're going to really reframe a remediation plan, it is a self-care plan, right?
Self-care plan.
So if I were going to create a remediation plan, it's going to say, like, it's typed or on a piece of paper. On the top, it's going to say what the goal is. That the goal is to take better care of myself. And then I would include, and I could structure it different ways, but I think it would include a list of, these are the things, this is what this means.
Right.
Not to take better care of myself equals these kinds of things. And then there would be a plan for how I would make that happen, and I'm going to do that by doing these things, or I'm going to do that by, and even having some amount of a schedule, like Mondays, I'm going to, make sure my schedule is set for the rest of the week so that I can plan.
Right.
And that plan will include me thinking about, I'm not going to schedule something for noon because then I can't eat lunch.
Right.
So I'm going to put, like, so on my plan, I would include this task. And when I do this task, I'm going to keep in mind that I'm thinking about
all the other things, the schedule,
keeping enough time for myself, or making sure that other things that are prioritized are still on there. And so, and then by getting it all out there, I could then look back on that and go, did I include all the things I wanted to include? Or do I think if I actually do all these things, will I then feel like I'm taking care of myself?
Well, and then look, because maybe if you did those things, it wouldn't feel like you were taking care of yourself because you might have missed something.
Right. Yes, that's why. Right. So that's why I would like a remediation plan. So if it was an actual remediation plan, I would say, the goal of this remediation plan is to make sure that you're actually getting supervision every week and not canceling or
Right.
something.
Right.
And here are the things that need to happen in order to get supervision every week. It means I need to schedule it ahead of time.
Mm-hmm.
I need to not schedule other things during that time. I need to, whatever.
Right.
And here's how I'm going to ensure that this happens. It means I'm going to email or call Sarah on a week before if I don't know what the plan is for the
next
coming week.
Good.
Or we're going to have a standing appointment, and the only time that changes is if we talk about it beforehand and we confirm right then when the new
plan is.
Right.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And then after all of that at the bottom, I would be able to look back and go, okay, is that going to be a solid plan for getting supervision done? Do I think that addresses what's kept us from getting supervision done so far?
Right.
So that same question
Yep.
for a self-care plan. So would you, like you said, like a body check-in,
mm-hmm.
where would you say the body check-in is the goal? Is it the thing that when you do it, you'll know that you're taking care of self-care, or will it be part of the plan that like, so I'm going to do this every Monday morning, or what would that look like?
Yeah, I think more of a schedule like that, like every Monday morning or I'm taking time in my day specifically to plan the rest of my week so that I am getting my meals in and I am taking a walk if it seems like by Thursday I'm super stressed out. So if there aren't things to address, well, then Thursday's a stressful day. You've already built up a lot of stress. Go for a walk. Like putting it in kind of preventative mode, I guess, is what you would kind of consider it. And then being able to reevaluate after a couple weeks and say, is that really working? Yeah. Like, is that healing? Is that self-care?
So that I think is pretty concrete and specific. Have you ever gotten that concrete and specific with a supervisee or yourself?
I mean, I've tried to as myself. I'm really bad about the commitment part. 2 weeks, it's awesome. I can do it for 2 weeks.
Oh. I mean, I think I've definitely written out remediation plans for supervisees, and some of them were for the purpose of self-care.
Right.
And I think I'm not doing it right now, but there have been times where I have a plan that's somewhat like what we described, and I do that for myself.
Right.
But maybe I'm not doing it right now, so
right. Maybe it doesn't need to
it comes and goes, right? Okay, so commitment to the plan. So the plan could be something as specific as that or something more casual. You said you have a hard time committing to a plan. What are the times where you've committed to a plan like this and it worked? The commitment really helped you.
I think almost always it really helps at the beginning. When you're first, and you can apply this to pretty much anything. When you first are motivated about doing something new, different, or taking care of yourself, it feels really great and you're committed and it's working. I think what happens is life gets in the way. Or like you fall off one day, you're sick. You don't go do your whatever, right? Kind of like, I mean, you can equate it to like going to the gym. If you go to the gym Monday, Wednesday, and Friday every week, and then something happens and you pull a hamstring and you're out for 2 weeks, it's really hard to motivate yourself. Yeah. To get back and go again.
Well, I think for me, and I mean, this doesn't feel like new information, but connecting it to something else.
Right. Pairing it with something that is.
So like me, when I did have a self-care plan and it was really specific and written down and I followed through and I did it for a long time. One of the ways that it was connected to kind of a routine was that my looking back at the week and seeing how I did and then making a plan for the new week happened Sundays while I was having breakfast, which Sunday breakfast can be a little slower.
Right.
I don't need to. And so that was part of
your plan.
I was going to sit down. I was going to have tea. I was going to go slow and look over this thing and have a plan. And that throughout the week, once I got to work,
right?
So get all the morning stuff done, like get up, get out of the house, make sure I have everything I need. Once I sat down to work, the first 10 minutes, I would open that up and go and look back through it and make sure, okay, priorities today are these things, and I'm going to remember to do this thing. And it helped me to stay on track. I don't think... So that's the way I think I find it being successful for me. I think that's harder to do with a supervisee. Like we can set them up for that or suggest that, but getting them to do that.
Well, and especially if they are only seeing you once a week for an hour and they're not really in your space during the week.
Right.
So it'd be a lot harder.
So you're saying if it was a supervisee who worked for you or worked in the agency that you worked at, that then you could maybe even create routines around them doing it also. So
Right.
you like know, almost like a work culture,
Right.
that the first 10 minutes of everybody's day is to sit down and
right.
look at the day and think about how yesterday went and make a plan. And so then you know. So, but if they're kind of outside your sphere of influence, you can't do that as easily.
Right. And
Okay.
you really won't know. I mean,
Right.
unless they're going to be honest with you in supervision, which I hope they are,
Uh-huh.
but you really won't know. You'll be like, hey, remember that thing we talked about you doing? Are you doing that?
Mhm.
And depending on how much of a people pleaser they are, they may be like, oh, yes, Sarah, I'm doing that.
Yeah. Okay, so I think that flows to maybe the next point and the next 2 points. Commit to the plan and check in is the final point.
Right.
So, how do you achieve commitment to the plan?
Well, I like what you said about pairing it with something
Uh-huh.
that already happens or that you enjoy. That seems
Uh-huh.
much more doable. And I think also reminding yourself after you've completed something that's on your plan, like, oh, this was good. I took a moment to look at my week.
Uh-huh.
Like kind of giving yourself that affirmation of like, this was a good thing. I'm glad I looked at my calendar. I have an extra appointment this week.
Mm-hmm.
You know, those kind of things.
Mm-hmm. I think for me, the way that this happens most easily is if someone else knows about the plan.
Oh, yeah.
And knows that I'm going to check in with them.
Mm-hmm.
Even if there's not, I mean, there's like, if you had a boss who was
Right.
doing that, yes, there's different kind of accountability. But even if this is just a friend
Mm-hmm.
and I say, hey, I'm trying to do this thing and I'm going to tell you that I did it so that I feel like I'm on track. Like thinking about the gym, when I get really consistent going to the gym, it's partly because I know who's going to be there.
Yeah, you want to make sure you're
right. And I know that if I'm not there, they're going to be like, hey, where's Sarah today? We haven't seen her in a while. And so I know they're looking forward to seeing me and I'm looking forward to seeing them. So that's kind of a check-in.
Right.
Or commitment to the plan.
Commitment to the plan and a check-in because you're physically seeing somebody there.
Yeah. So I think to me that really works. Is there a way to do that for a supervisee? How you do a check-in or how you commit to the plan with each other?
I mean, I guess we could get creative and say like, hey, when you do that, text me this week.
Yeah.
Or, hey, when you...
Or the other way around.
Right.
That we could
text them.
Say, hope your week's going good. Right. How many times have you...
Right.
Whatever.
Exactly. So, I mean, I guess there's check-ins throughout the week.
Uh-huh. I think that would be nice. I think I would like that.
Mm-hmm.
And it makes me think that if I would like it, then maybe some of my supervisees would appreciate and like.
Well, and also brings up the commitment level back in if you know someone's checking. I mean, those two go hand in hand.
Right. Huh.
That's fun.
Yeah, I think I'm going to think about how I might incorporate more check-ins and commitment to a plan with my supervisees.
Right. And what that could look like. Because that's going to be different for each of them.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Well, thank you today for listening to Supervision with a Vision. Heather and I would love to hear about your plans for self-care in the new year. And of course, we'd love to hear feedback and suggestions for episode topics.